Senator Mark Warner, the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, joins me now in studio. Good morning, Senator. What is your reaction to them seizing that tanker? This is a major escalation.
Well, it shows if we can interdict the tanker, why can't we interdict the boats carrying drugs as well? I've said repeatedly, the Maduro regime has been brutal to the Venezuelan people. And I think the Biden administration made a huge error when a couple years back, the Venezuelans voted overwhelmingly to get rid of Maduro, and they didn't put enough pressure on getting him out. But that still begs the question is, what is President Trump's theory of the case? Is it regime change? We've got a mass of forces almost unprecedented in the region. And I think the president needs to come to Congress and the American people if his goal is to further increase pressure on Maduro and potentially launch forces.
But this is very different. This is economic pressure, and they've already sanctioned 6 additional ships. So do you foresee a quarantine, a blockade? What are you expecting because of this latest escalation?
Well, you'd think, as a member of the so-called Gang of 8, where we're supposed to be briefed on everything, I would have the answer to that. I don't. I do not know what this president's goal vis-a-vis Venezuela is. Again, particularly since he makes the accusation that we're trying to stop the narco drug traffickers, and the vast majority of the drugs come from Ecuador and Colombia. Venezuela may be a buy station, but I don't think the president has made the case.
You heard him the most recently saying that land attacks could be pretty soon, and he's going to hit horrible people. So what do you think that means? He also said it may be beyond Venezuela.
Well, constantly making these threats, whether it's Venezuela, Colombia, elsewhere, we all know the history of American intervention in Central America and South America over the last 100 years has not been a great story. And I feel many of these sailors, for example, are home ported in Norfolk and in my state. And I'm hearing from parents saying, is my son or daughter going to be in harm's way? They ask legitimate questions as well in terms of the strikes against the drug boats. Are they even legal? And I think the president owes those parents and owes Congress and the American people an explanation of what his goal is.
There's no question Maduro is a bad guy. You've said it yourself. Something has to be done about him. I suppose this is what the Wall Street Journal editorial board said. It hoped there would be more seizures of oil tankers. Mr. Maduro relies on oil export revenue to fund his regime and keep his military happy. Without this cash flow, panic may grow in the ranks. The seizure signals that Mr. Trump isn't backing down on his effort to oust the dictator. This wouldn't be a coup, but a liberation for Venezuelan democracy. So besides you not knowing what President Trump wants to do you agree with this?
I agree that the Venezuelan people want Maduro gone. But the opposition, while the opposition leader just won recently the Nobel Prize appropriately, I have a real questions. If Maduro is pushed out, will there be still the Venezuelan military that'll take over? Has there been enough organization with the opposition to make a transition? And when you've got most of the other nation states in the region not supporting our action, where does this lead? Does this going to mean American boots on the ground in Venezuela? I don't think the American people want that.
Do you support regime change? Do you support getting rid of him? And if so, how would you do it?
Listen, I don't. I think Maduro is a bad guy. There's plenty of other bad leaders around the world where we don't have this level of massed forces. You know, I thought Donald Trump was going to end the endless wars and not make America the policeman for the world. If anything, it seems like, you know, in this case, he's trying to up the ante. In Ukraine, where I think there is a just alliance of democracies against Putin, he seems to be taking the opposite action. So I'm not sure where he's headed here. I do fear that boots on the ground in Venezuela could be a disaster.
This certainly was a distraction to the boat strikes, the second strike in particular with the survivor. Let me ask you first to clarify. Do you think the strikes on those suspected drug boats are actually drug boats? You're on the Intelligence Committee. I know you've seen intelligence. Are you confident those are actually drug boats?
I'm confident the majority of these boats have drugs on them. They knew the 11 individuals on the strike on September 2nd. They don't know all of the individuals on many of the other boats. And what I worry about is this legal opinion, which really seems to stretch, I don't think passes the smell test, saying somehow having drugs on these boats is the equivalent of, say, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard having bombs and weapons. And I think the American people and Congress deserves to see the video that I saw of, with these survivors, what took place, how they were waving, it appears, to the airplanes, and then to take this strike. I also think it's important that all of the documentation of the execution order, the after-action report, there is a legal opinion, the JAG Corps, we need to see that as well, because I am reluctant to kind of reach the conclusion that some of my colleagues have, that this was an illegal strike. If it is that,
you're reluctant to do that. Even you've seen the video. You're reluctant to say it's an illegal strike.
I want to get all the documentation. I think the strike is extraordinarily chilling, and I think a lot of Americans will reach a very negative conclusion about this. But I think it is so potentially damning to say that our military is taking illegal strikes. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Give me the information. I think General Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, wants to provide that information. I'm not sure Pete Hegseth wants that out. And the remarkable thing is Hegseth pounds his chest, brags about all this kind of things until there's controversy, and then it appears he often throws uniformed military under the bus.
And of course, President Trump originally said he would support the release, so we'll see what happens. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Senator.